All right, coming to you live here from KubeCon in Chicago, and I'm here with the one, the only, Matt Ray. Matt, how are you today?
Still busy.
Yeah, no,
Always busy.
yeah, one-man band, flustered kind of guy, but that's because everybody wants you. Everybody wants to talk about OpenCost, including myself.
Yes, I'm always here to talk about OpenCost.
I love it. So when we last met, which was in KubeCon, but it was KubeCon in Amsterdam,
Yep.
You had filed all your paperwork to leap out of Sandbox. Is that correct? Was that
We have applied for incubation. Yes.
Okay, so you're still waiting for the papers to come through?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a process. The last Sandbox project I saw that moved into incubation took 9 months.
9 months. So how long has it been since you all?
I did it in May.
Okay, so I can't do the math. May is the 5th month. We're in the, what are we, 11th
month.
Okay, so that's
Any
6.
day now.
6. All right. Maybe for the holidays, you'll get it, or Valentine's Day.
Hey, it would be the best Christmas ever.
Exactly. Ho, ho, ho. Which down under, you guys have a warm Christmas.
We do. It'll be sandy and we'll be on the beach. It'll be great.
Yeah, Matt's located in Australia, which is right next to Switzerland. Wait, no, sorry, that's Austria.
Yes.
I get those two mixed up. All right, so you had some news recently.
Yeah,
I saw a blog post for
lots
it.
of
Can you
news.
tell our listeners, readers, what it was all about?
Sure. So if you're not familiar with OpenCost, we are the CNCF project for cost monitoring. So we look at your cloud bills and your Kubernetes usage, and we will tell you how much everything costs in Kubernetes. The recent announcements that are interesting are we've moved beyond just Kubernetes, and we now read your cloud bill and expose that with an API for reporting. Which means, as far as I know, there aren't any other open source projects out there that read your cloud bills. There are a lot of people have done it, with Python scripts or curl and grepping and fun
Excel
stuff like that.
spreadsheets or something, right?
Yeah, and export it to Excel or something like that. But we actually read those bills from AWS, from Azure, from GCP, and put a reporting API on top of them. So you can say, hey, I want to see my blob storage on Azure for a 2-week period last month. That kind of stuff. So you can write queries where you break it down, and I want to see all the network charges in Amazon over a period of time. That kind of.
So when you talk about writing queries, how much of it is automated where you can go and turn a knob and say, I want this, I want that? Or is right now, is it
we do have a UI for it.
Okay.
We do have a UI. It's still in beta. It's open source. So the UI is always going to be in beta. But what that means is you can go and visualize, hey, what's happening in each cloud provider. It is multi-provider support.
So when you say visualize, are there actually visualization?
Yeah, they're actually graphs.
And
Yeah,
things?
graphs.
Cool.
With hey, you're spending $400 on S3, you're spending $500 on RDS, that kind of thing.
And so are the metrics, because I was looking at your blog post, and so what I was trying to figure out is it always apples to apples comparison? But are you measuring?
You're setting me up for a slam dunk here.
So exactly, I'm just reading what you wrote here. Here you got S3. Obviously, you're not going to have it on other clouds, but you've got some storage on GCP. You've got it on Azure. Are they, when you're measuring them and the usage, can you compare them? Are they like items or
apples and oranges, right?
That's right.
So every cloud provider calls them something different. Object storage on Google, S3 on AWS, blob storage on Azure. So the FinOps Foundation, which is a foundation under the Linux Foundation, they've got a project called the FinOps OpenCost and Usage Specification, FOCUS. And the goal of FOCUS is to normalize your cloud bills into a single standard. The intention is if we establish a standard, everyone will eventually just publish to that standard. And so, which means some magical day, AWS will say, hey, here's your AWS bill. Oh, you want to see it as Focus? Here's your Focus AWS bill. And that's the long-term goal. In the short term, they are writing converters that will actually turn, your AWS cost and usage report into a Focus bill. And what we are going to be doing over in the OpenCost project is actually taking that Focus output and displaying it, which means after they've turned your apples and oranges into apples and apples, we're going to give you apples to apples comparison. So you'll actually be able to see multi-cloud bills in a single UI. So then you can say, oh, normalized object storage across my providers, I'm going to compare those. And, or maybe networking cost or compute cost. And so then, as other cloud providers get added to the mix, you can say, well, geez, S3 seems reasonable, but this R2 over on Cloudflare might be a better choice. And I've been able to compare apples to apples to get this sort of comparison.
But what if the vendors say, yeah, but you're measuring mine wrong because we actually
it's a standard, right? The vendors were all invited to show up and argue their behalf, and they have. So several of the vendors are involved. AWS and Azure and Google and Oracle are definitely involved in this specification, as well as a lot of integrators. A lot of consultants and vendors who are in this space. We've been working on Focus for a while. And they've had their opportunity to say, hey, we do it this way. And so out in the open, they've been, hammering out a new specification, this Focus specification, to say, like, you call them apples and oranges, but we've agreed these are, pomegranates, but,
Right. So, okay, to see if I can make a somewhat of an analogy. So when you talk about cloud growth at different companies, you don't know what they're calling cloud, right? So maybe Microsoft is saying Azure, but they're also calling they're adding the 365, and as opposed to say AWS is only doing this. So do you say, okay, to fall under this bucket, it has to be this, and it doesn't include that?
There are definitely not every service is provided by every cloud provider, but when they have like for like services, you'll be able to fit them into Focus. So Focus isn't going to say like oh, you were charged, they can't charge you for something you don't have.
Right. That's probably a good.
So it'll just be that part of the bill doesn't exist.
Okay.
And so that's on our short-term roadmap. Is Focus is going to be releasing this month a 1.0, and the intention of OpenCost is to support that in our user interface.
And so, to what extent on your roadmap is AI? In other words, if you were to reconfigure, given your bill, if you were to shift your workloads this way, or
luckily or fortunately, that is not the remit for OpenCost. OpenCost,
why the ocean needs to be boiled. You're just the one to do it.
There are plenty of people boiling the ocean for us. So OpenCost is a CNCF project, and it's our focus, if you will, is on monitoring. We want to give people the best cloud cost numbers recorded for Kubernetes through their bill. Eventually, we'll bring in SaaSes and other services. We want to be the best source of that data and make it easy to consume it at wherever you are. And then, what do you want to do with that, Barton? You can go nuts. You can AI it. You can machine learn it.
Put it all into an Excel spreadsheet and then move it all around. Put cells and add them.
So we are the engine for several different projects or commercial products. My employer, KubeCost, OpenCost is their engine. But this week, Azure made a big announcement that they are embedding OpenCost in the Azure portal. So they're going to have.
I missed that. That's very cool.
AKS, their Kubernetes service, AKS Cost Analytics. So today, when you click on your
AKS, AKA for AKS.
Yes. Today, when you click on your AKS bill in the Azure portal, it's just hey, it's $10,000, and you keep clicking on it, and it never gives you any detail.
Okay.
But they've announced next week or however many days at Ignite, they're going to be enabling a feature where you will now have drill down into your AKS usage, and including billing. So they'll actually be able to show you per namespace, per container, per pod, whatever way you want to slice and dice your Azure Kubernetes usage. They're going to have that in the AKS Cost Analytics. So that's coming. And that's built on top of OpenCost, and they acknowledge that.
And so I'm sure they see this as a feature that will draw people to Azure, saying, "Hey, you may not get it with the other guys. This kind of insight, but if you're using our stuff, you'll know what you're using, and we're completely transparent."
And I mean, people do ask me like, do the vendors actually want people saving money? It's like, they don't want them to not save money, but they don't want them to complain.
Right.
And so OpenCost wants to be the engine for other tools. We want people to build other useful products on top of this. That's what CNCF is all about. I mean, most of these projects are not meant to be end user facing. Some of them are, but Kubernetes by itself isn't done. You keep adding stuff to it. OpenCost, some people do use it directly, but usually you're going to be adding something on top of it. Grafana Labs also announced that they are embedding OpenCost in their Kubernetes metrics project. So they have a commercial offering in Grafana Cloud where you can see cost metrics and you can see recommendations and predictions around this. And so they're continuing to build on top of OpenCost.
Right. It's sort of open core-ish. I mean, it's like open source in general, right?
Well, we're literally supposed to be the engine for monitoring, for cost monitoring.
So, okay, now you started off by saying you're busy as all get out. When you're at the...
So what more do you need, Martin?
So what are people coming up and asking you for? How sophisticated are they? Do they come saying, oh yeah, I heard all about it? Are they people who sort of saying, hey, what's OpenCost?
Yes.
All this in World War II?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of questions, and usually I have a crowd of people coming to the
I actually saw that, and they don't all work for KubeCost either. They're actually I did see that.
No. The crowd comes, and I try to say, okay, can we all huddle together so I don't have to repeat myself? And we start with what is OpenCost, and we're doing cost monitoring, we're doing Kubernetes, we're doing access to your cloud bills. And then I usually drill down into how the Kubernetes cost monitoring works. So people are like, oh, they have questions around that. And then they're like, well, what can I do with this, billing access? And I, explain that. And then the questions start to get more either focused or they're like, does it do recommendations? Does it do budgets? I'm like, no. We're just the numbers. And, and then
tell them about the AI that you're going to be putting in next time.
Not my problem.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. And then I point to the 6 other vendors here at KubeCon who are using OpenCost.
So, and are you also getting recruits? So people from a user point of view, is anybody saying, hey,
yes,
I'd love to contribute?
Yeah, I've definitely gotten some folks saying, this is awesome. What can I do? And, I've had cloud providers come and say, how do we add support? And, once we add support, can we stick around? And so the hardest thing I think with OpenCost is documentation.
It seems to be for a lot of people.
It's always the hardest thing because
I think I heard that Copilot can do that. So you can use AI. That's how it all works.
Well, don't get me started on AI. So there's kind of an epidemic right now in open source of people using AI to generate pull requests. And as the downstream of this, as the person who has to review pull request, they have a certain smell. People will do drive-by patches that are like, I made your documentation better. And it's like, yeah, that's not how you make documentation better. You don't just, replace adjectives.
Well, if they're better adjectives, you do.
They're not better. The documentation we need are primarily things around verifying configuration details.
Okay.
There are a lot of really small details around configuring cloud access to certain resources like bills, making sure you get permissions right, and making sure that things will be in the right places.
Is it kind of like a sizing guide almost? In other words, someone who's going to test these different...
Sometimes we don't have a sizing guide. Do you want to write one, Barton?
Did you not get it? I emailed that to you. It was on an Excel spreadsheet.
It needs to be a pull request on GitHub.
Oh, darn it. Okay, got it.
Yeah, so yes, we can do sizing recommendations. We can do optimization guides, configuration guides. There's a lot of potential places this data could end up. Integration guides. There are visualization. There are example Grafana dashboards that work with this. We can always use more. We could use better ones. So if you're interested in contributing, we are on CNCF Slack, OpenCost. I'd be happy to work with you. However it is you would like to contribute to the project.
So are you also opencost.io or where would they?
Yeah. OpenCost.io is our website. That is, the whole website's on GitHub too. So, you can go there, you can read all of our documentation, read the installation guide, configure, your cloud, however you want to use it. That's all on the website. And then, if you want to get involved in the source of either the project, the Helm chart, the website, it's all on GitHub under the OpenCost project.
Okay. Well, so just to round off, we got to where you go. This is, I think, the third KubeCon we've done a podcast of sorts. We did in Amsterdam, we did it in Detroit. How have you seen, in just your impressions on how KubeCon has gone, both from what you're doing as well as just sort of the overall ecosystem and feel and blah blah blah.
I mean, I think we've hit a really steady place. KubeCon is good in a predictable way, or predictable in a good way, right? I mean, you come and you have a good idea what kind of content you're going to see. You're going to see high quality talks. You're going to see, vendors with their latest, hopefully greatest, and just a lot of really in-depth conversations with folks who are trying to solve the same kind of problems or different problems in the same kind of way, hopefully.
Yeah, I've seen the momentum. It seems to keep on going, if not growing. So, Matt Ray, a pleasure as always. Thank you very much. And one more time, where do they go to get involved with OpenCost?
Go to opencost.io and click on the community tab.
And with that, this is Barton George with Matt Ray saying goodbye from KubeCon Chicago.
Thank you.